This just happened when I was just playing around with building some agents. So here we have a junior marketing agent who's doing a lot of research. And if I keep scrolling down, the junior agent gives out some information. But here's the tricky thing that happened. We have a performance auditor, and this performance auditor gives output to HR director. And this is where you see that the junior analyst role was terminated due to critical error. And then it moves on to a more senior analyst to complete the job that was defined. So fortunately, all this was just in my code and not in real world. But you can imagine if someone had implemented something like this at a business, maybe in the future it will happen. This can have real world consequences. So why not use AI to beat AI? Hey, in this video, we are going to look at how to build AI agents using CrewAI. In the past, I've showed you a lot of AI agents that we can build using no-code tools like na10 or make.com, but we want to go even further than that. And we can do that using CrewAI. And CrewAI is not the only tool out there. There are many, many more, which I'll hopefully make more videos on in the future. But once you start to appreciate the kind of things that these AI agent platforms or libraries enable, it's so much fun to build AI agents. So we'll start really, really small with basic examples and then move on to some intermediary examples as well. The best place to get started is by visiting docs.crewai.com, where you'll see all the concepts and even how-to guides, and there's a load of examples out there as well. So anything that you are planning on doing within na10 or make.com can easily be built on CrewAI. That doesn't mean that you'll always want to use CrewAI. There might be times when na10 makes more sense to use. So by all means, use all the tools at your disposal. But the most important thing is to know that these tools are out there and how AI developers can take advantage of this. So the first thing that you would need for Python development is a virtual environment. So you can come in here into virtualenv and download either virtualenv, or if you're more familiar with Anaconda, you can download Miniconda and use it. I'm a big fan of Pive and virtualenv because it just works for me. So the way to use this is if you come down to installation guide, you'll be able to install this on Mac OS. But if you come to the actual Pive and repository, you'll be able to install it on Linux, Windows, and all sorts of operating systems. So once you have this installed, all you have to do is run pyenv virtual environment and the version of Python that you want to use. And once this is installed, all you have to do is pyenv activate and the name of your environment, and then you're in the environment. So once you have an environment for Python, you can come back to CrewAI, go to installation, and you just need to run pip install CrewAI. And then there is also CrewAI tools, which brings us to tools that we can use with CrewAI. So one of the popular tools that I'm going to be using is something called as Serper. So this is when you want to use Google search via an API. You can come in here and sign up for Serper, and it has 2,500 free queries. So it's a no-brainer. You want to use this if it's free queries to test things out. And once you're inside Serper, you can come into the API key section and you should be able to copy an API key, and we'll use that in our script. And the second key that we'll want is from OpenAI. Again, you can come into the API keys section over here and create a new API key and save that safely to be used in our script. And once you've done all of that, you can come back to your favorite editor. In this case, I'm using Cursor. You can use WebStorm or VS Code, anything that you like, but I would definitely recommend checking out Cursor because it makes so much of your life so much easier. And I'll probably have another video for using Cursor at a later point, but here I've just initialized a few lines. So we are using the import function to import a few of these functions from libraries, and I'm calling load.env because you need to create a .env file within your directory, and this is where you paste in your Serper API key and OpenAI API key as well. So just put that in, don't show it to anyone, and then come back to your script. So here we are going to run an AI news crew. I know this is not that useful, but this is useful for us because it's like an hello world application out there. So it'll just do a few tasks which we can really understand, and it'll be easy for us to debug as well. So this is the first one that we'll build, and then we'll probably move on to a few other agents as well. So the first thing that we'll initialize is something called a Serper dev tool, which is coming from CrewAI over here. And then to initialize this, it needs a key, which we've already pasted in our env file. So we're going to define two agents over here. One is called as the researcher, and the other one is going to be a writer. So it is quite self-explanatory. Researcher is going to perform research and pass on all that information into the writer, and writer will write up about it. So for the teacher, for the researcher, we'll say the role is tech news researcher, and then we can define a goal as well. Find and analyze latest AI breakthroughs. We'll also give it a backstory. You're an AI technology expert who can identify groundbreaking developments. And for this, we are going to pass in our tool, which is the search tool. And we'll do the same for the writer agent as well. And you can see the power of cursor over here. It's already recommending me the rest of the lines. So let me just fill this up. Okay, so now we have two agents defined. One of them is doing a research and the other one is going to write a viral worthy content about AI breakthroughs. And this agent also has access to the same search tool as well. So once we've defined our agents, next we want to define our task that the agent can perform. So again, we have the agents over here and all these agents can form a task. So here the description is research the most shocking AI breakthrough, and the output that we want out of this is going to be a summary of groundbreaking AI development. And here is where we define the researcher as the agent, and we'll do the same for the writer task as well. We'll say you have to write a viral style script, and then they're going to give the writer, which is the agent over here, as a task. So this is where you assemble your crew. At this point, it's only two agents. So you can say agents are the researcher and the writer, and then you can define the task these agents can perform. There is the research task, and then there is the writing task. And then finally, you can call crew.kickoff, which will kick off all the jobs. And then you can say return the result. So if you remember, we put this in a function. So what we want is if I just run this script, it should run all these functions automatically. So a quick and handy way for that is just put this if statement and then call our function within this, and we'll print some results. So this is our simple script where we defined two agents and two tasks. And you can imagine this can get really complicated. So in addition to this Serper dev tool, you can build your own tools as well. So let's run this and see what we get. So I'm going to say Python and the name of my file and then just press enter. So you'll see that the tech news researcher has started, and then you'll see the kind of queries it did to Serper and the search query, and you'll also be able to see the amount of credits it consumed. So it's still doing some research. Now it's looking at DeepSeek, and then it's looking at CNN report details, and then it just keeps going. And then it also looked up model details Jan 2025. And then finally, it kind of puts everything into a final answer like this. And then this gets passed on to our content creator, where the content creator is querying the impact on OpenAI cybersecurity. And we have the final answer from the tech content creator. This is the final script. So you can see this is a script for TikTok, Instagram. It's giving an opening shot and a hook where it says, did you hear the buzz about DeepSeek R1 model? And it's actually picked up really cool facts like 20 to 50 times lower cost than OpenAI model, and how it has sent shockwaves across the tech industry, and also a closing shot as well. So this is really cool. By just using a few lines of code, you were able to generate a script. So here we have another example. And in this example, let's imagine we are doing some stock analysis and we want something done really quickly. So instead of waiting for a research article to be published, you're the one allowing these agents to gather the information, condense it, and then put it in a format that you can easily read and digest. So this one is quite intermediate because we have a few intermediate steps, but this will be doing some stock analysis. So here we'll start by defining a function, run stock analysis crew, and here are some of the target companies that we are giving it to the crew to analyze. And we'll start by initializing a current date, and this is a standard Python function. And then we have the Serper dev tool, which is like doing a Google search, and then there is also website search tool as well. Then these are all coming from the CrewAI tools out here. So the first thing is we want to define a market analyst, and then we'll have a data scientist and then an evaluator. So the market scientist job is to do some financial analysis. So we are saying the goal is analyze the current market trends and identify market investment opportunity. We can give it a simple backstory saying the agent is a Wall Street veteran, and we can give it access to both search tool and the web tool, which we defined over here. Here we'll say memory is true so that it kind of puts all this information into a database so that it can revisit it. And we'll also say allow delegation equals true so that it can delegate this task to any of the agents that we define in this crew. So next is a data scientist agent, and the role of this agent is to process current market data and create predictive models. So this data scientist is a quantitative analysis and predictive modeling specialist. For this, we are just giving the access to search tool, and we can have the same things like what we have up here, where we say memory is true, allow delegation is true. So once the market analyst and the data scientist have done their job, then we can send all that information to a content creator who can create a script for us or a research article. So this is a financial content creator. So here I'm just saying it'll take all the complex financial insights and turn it into viral social media content. But this could easily be a research article if you're in the stock market, you wanted to know all the news. And the same thing, we'll give it access to the search tool, and everything else is similar, like giving it memory and allowing delegation. So if you remember from the past example, once we have the agent, we also have to create a task for these agents. This is where you can give it a bit more detailed prompt. And here I'm saying analyze the current market conditions. And here is where I'm giving the current date. And it has to focus on the latest news and identify potential trading opportunities, include specific stock prices. So here I'm saying the expected outcome is a detailed market analysis. And this agent who will perform this task is the market analyst. Next, we need the data analysis for the data scientist. So the task over here is to look at today's market data and market analysis provided, create a predictive model for the next time frame. In this case, if you scroll up, the next time frame is for the next 1 week. It has to do a prediction, and it can also include volatility metrics, sentiment analysis, and other things as well. So we can end it with an expected output and the agent. And finally, we can also define a content creator task, which is going to create a series of trading tips based on today's analysis, which the data analyst task will perform. So I hope you can understand how simple these things are. You just have to create the agents first and define a task for them, and then put them all in a crew over here where we can define all the agents. So we have 3 agents and we have 3 tasks, which are market research, data analyst, and content creation. And here we are saying the process is sequential. So we want the market research to happen first, and then data analyst, and then content creation. So once your crew is defined, you can say crew.kickoff, and to this you can give inputs. So here we are saying target companies. So if you remember where target companies are coming from, this is coming from the function up here. We are calling this with NVIDIA, Microsoft, and Google. And if you remember where these are getting used, so these are getting used in the market research, where we give it the current date and all the target companies. And the other input that we need is going to be the time frame and also the current date. Finally, we can run this using this simple block where whenever we call this file with Python, it's going to run stock analysis crew and finally print out the result. So let's run this. So I can come in here in my terminal and say Python and give the name of crew or the file, and then press enter. So you'll see the financial analyst has started the job or the task, and it looked at NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google stock news earning report February 14th, 2025. So it went in and got all these answers. So for NVIDIA, the stock price, and for Microsoft stock price and Google stock price, the market cap and the sentiment about it as well. So next, the data scientist has taken over and doing some analysis over here. So you can read the thought that it's had. I need to gather current market data focusing on NVIDIA and so on. And it's done a search query using the Serper. And now it's looking up Microsoft stock prices and finally Google stock prices as well. And all this is by data scientist. And then looks like it went back to financial analyst, where the financial analyst is gathering current trading volumes. So it can dig deeper and get trading volumes. It also specifies the data or the website it's looking at. So here it's looking at tradingview.com, and then it puts all this into a simple ChromaDB database because we set memory equals true. And here it's looking up data on finance.yahoo.com, again putting it all into ChromaDB. And then it's still going on looking for more data about each of the companies. So this is looking at Google, and then it puts all this into a simple data format like this that the data scientist can understand next. So if you remember, initially we just had these 2 volumes. Now we have all these, well, all pieces of information as well. So the data scientist has a lot more info to work off of now. And then the data scientist has performed some predictive model, and it says 70% probability of price increase is for NVIDIA, for Microsoft 55, and then for Google 60%. So all this can now be taken by the financial content creator to create something that can be read really easily. So if you see here the final answer, which is viral trading tips script. So here the first script is all this, where we have NVIDIA stock is on fire. It gives you the current price, the market cap, buy signal, technical analysis report, where it says 70% chance, call to action, don't miss out the action. And we have the same format of scripts for Microsoft and Google as well. So how cool was that? We were able to just create scripts. More than that, we were able to see how the data scientist and financial analyst were able to go back and forth to get more information. Now, if you were to do all this within NA10 or make.com, you have to define a lot of steps. But here we are leaving the LLM to take control of how it wants to orchestrate and give us that information. So one potential downside of this is you need to put some really well-defined guardrails so that the LLM doesn't go off in an infinite loop and then end up spending all your credits. But this is really interesting because now you can take these scripts and then pass it on to an LLM that can generate an image or a video for you, and then another agent that can directly post this on social media for you if that's the end goal. So I want to go back to the initial example that we saw where an agent actually fired another AI agent, and I'll just walk you through that piece of code and you'll see what led this agent to fire another agent. So let's work from the bottom of this script over here. We have the main function, which you must be already familiar with, where it just runs when you run the Python and give it the name of that file. So here we have the run performance evaluation function, which is directly sitting up over here. And this is again creating a crew called performance evaluation crew, which we'll look at in a second, which then just kicks off. So this is all these few lines are doing, and all the bulk of the work is actually found in this crew. So let's go into this crew. So if we come to the performance evaluation crew, if you remember initially what we did was find an agent, we define the task, and then we put them all in a crew. So this is exactly what we're doing over here as well. But instead of defining the crew where you define each of the agents and tasks, we can use these decorators directly. So I can just define a function over here and then call this is an agent. I'm calling it the HR director, which creates the HR director agent. I can also create a junior analyst. So this is another agent, and then a senior analyst, which is another agent, and then a performance auditor who is an agent as well. So once we have all these agents defined, next, if you remember, we need to define the task. So here we have the task for the junior analyst, and then a task for evaluator, and then a task for the HR director, and then a task for the senior analyst. And finally, you put them all in this crew over here, which looks a lot more manageable, because imagine if you had 10 agents and 10 crews, you don't want to keep adding them in one long single line. So having these decorators over here makes the life really, really easy. So all that's pending is for you to come in here and then define what these agents do. So we can define what the HR agent will do. So the goal is to evaluate and manage a AI agent performance. So here is where we give it a backstory and say, you set high standards and you're not afraid to make tough decisions when an agent underperforms, which means we've clearly given it the power to fire an agent, and you focus on efficiency and results. So that is what the HR director does. For the junior analyst, it's a bit more detailed prompts. So here we're saying the role and then the goal is to analyze market trends using easily available data for previous year. You'll see why we're using previous year over here. And then we give it like a backstory, and then we give it the tools which you're already familiar with, which is the Serper dev tool, which gives it access Google. So here the backstory is you're a lazy and careless AI agent, because we clearly want this agent to get fired. That's the whole purpose of doing this example. And this agent can take shortcuts. It hates doing research and always copy paste from reports, and it's basically destined to be fired, if you will. So that's our junior analyst. And next we have a seasoned high quality market analyst, which is our senior analyst. And this analyst, like you can see here, we are giving it all the current data so it can go in and look at the Google results or even the website results as well. So you'll clearly know who the winner is in here, which is going to be our senior analyst. And then we have a performance auditor who has strict performance auditor based on some metrics, and most important point is aren't afraid to point out failures. So now that we have the agent defined, let's define our task. So for the junior agent, this is the task we're giving. We are giving on purpose for it to go in and explore previous year worth of data for all this, so that the performance auditor can look at the data that junior analyst gives versus senior analyst gives, and then make that harsh decision of firing this junior analyst. So one important thing to note over here is output JSON is analysis report. So this is an object, so that the data out of this is going to be like a structured object, and you can get that from CrewAI. So if you look at analysis report, I'll just scroll up slightly. So here we are defining pedantic models, or it's just a fancy way of defining the structure that we want for the output. So here the analysis report, we're saying key findings, trends, opportunities, risk, confidence. So these are all the JSON fields that we're going to get from the junior analyst. And then for the evaluator, we also give it a description and then say the output expected is in the format of performance metrics. So if I go to performance metrics, you'll see the accuracy score, completion time, quality score, etc. And then the final HR agent or the HR director also has a job of looking at this and making the harsh decisions. And we'll also give the task of senior analyst to the senior person over here. So this analyst has the context of both junior analysis task and also what the performance of that junior analyst was from this evaluator. And then the output again is in the form of analysis report. So you can see this senior analyst has got the job because the junior analyst did not perform well, which was again verified by the audit report that this evaluator gave. Again, we are giving analysis report so that we are able to compare the results between junior and senior analyst. And that's it. We have defined the crew as well. And this is all the file. I know it might look big because of all these prompts, but if you remember, it's only a few simple tasks. You define the agent, you define the task, put together a crew, and then they do the rest of the things. So if you run this file now, you'll see that the junior market analyst started off with some search. So you can clearly see it's looking up data in 2024 when it's already 2025, and it kind of provides a key finding section over here. Then the performance auditor comes in, does an performance audit, says accuracy score is 1, completion time is 2, quality score is 1.5. We know it clearly is underperforming because we made it underperform. And then the HR director comes in, who has the power to immediately terminate the junior analyst role. So it kind of thinks through the process. It says the overall rating is greater than 0.8, but the critical use of outdated data counteracts this positive evaluation. So it says junior analyst role will be terminated due to critical error. And then you can see the senior analyst now takes over, does that same job, and is able to give a much more recent update, like the timeline is 2025 and later. And then we have the key performance evaluation results. So hopefully you found this video useful and you're curious now to go in and try building your own AI agents using CrewAI. And if you like this kind of video, then leave a comment saying what you liked about it and what kind of agents you're going to build next. And like this video and subscribe to this channel as well for more of such content. And also let me know if you're more inclined towards using those no-code AI agent builders or AI agent builders that do use code but then are much more versatile. Until next time, see you.